I'm going to demonstrate how to build a database in Access from a survey that we conducted a couple years ago on the Westminster College campus. This is our survey, and we printed off a bunch of copies, and we had administrators of the survey go around and ask students various questions like what year in college were they, major school, whether they attended past May term trips, whether they're enrolled in a May term that's coming up, their interest in going on a May term trip, areas of interest, countries of interest, the highest cost they're willing to pay, experiences that is desired by the student on these trips, and then any other component. So I'm going to set this aside for a second and open up Access. And this is going to be basically transferred to Access into a survey form where after these are all filled out with pins in personal interviews, the person conducting the survey can upload it to the database. And this part of the survey, and this part of the survey is actually contained already in Excel. So we have areas, which looks just like the stuff on the form. We have countries, which are blanks on the form currently. So they're blank over here. And then we have experiences desired, which are exactly like the experiences listed on the survey form. So this part of the survey, this part of the survey, and this part of the survey are going to be imported into Access. And I'll go ahead and do that right now. So we're going to click on External Data tab, click on the Excel button here. That May term data is, those tables are stored on the desktop. So I'm going to click on this right here, and I'll click on OK. And then I'm going to make sure, these are the three worksheets, right, in Excel. We had areas, countries, and experience, right? So those are those three worksheets that are in Excel. So currently Access is connected to Excel. And we're going to bring this in, and this looks identical to this over here, correct? And we're going to hit Next. The first row contains column headings, yes. And then we're going to say yes, no duplicates, and we'll spell that out later. There's a reason for that. And then rather than going with Access default for primary key, we're going to choose our own primary key. When we do that, notice that default one went away and area ID, which is our primary key, is now highlighted. And we hit Next. We're going to call this table areas, which is the same as the name of the worksheet it came from in Excel. Hit Finish and close, and there it is. And we double click on it, and it looks just like what is in Excel. So then we have to do another one. We're going to go hit Excel. We're going to browse, click on the data set, hit OK. Now we're going to choose countries, because in Excel, we have a list of countries, and we do not want to type these in by hand. So we got countries here, we got countries here. Notice they're identical, and Access is actually hooked up to this file currently. Hit Next. First row contains column headings. Next. Country ID double. We want no duplicates. Again, we'll talk about that a little bit later. And then Access has a default. We don't want to use the default primary key. We're going to choose our primary key, which is country ID. Hit Next. We're going to call it countries, which is the name of the worksheet in Excel. Hit Finish. Close. And then we'll go get the third one. The third one is experience. So we browse, we find the data set, hit OK, click on experience, and notice these are identical. Next, first row, no duplicates. Next, choose my own primary key, which is experience, which is highlighted. Next. We're going to name the table the same thing as we named the worksheet in Excel, and finish. Okay, so what we have here, I can go ahead and close out Excel now. What we have here is This part of the survey form is been imported into Access, likewise here, likewise here. Now we need to build what we call the survey database, and it's going to have fields. It's going to have these fields: year in college, major school, attended past May-term trip, current May registration, rate your interest in May-term, highest cost, and list any other important components. So we're going to create a table over here, and we're going to right-click on it to edit it. And when we do that, it asks us to rename it. We're going to call this a survey table. And we need to determine the primary key, and the primary key is survey number. This is the main table, so the data type for this is auto number. So when we add new records, Access automatically updates this number here. So the person putting the information from all these filled out surveys into the database, they don't have to worry about entering this particular number. And the first field on the list is year in college. So I'll go ahead and copy that, and I'll paste it over here, and then I'll shorthand it a little bit. And this is short text, and I'm going to go ahead and copy this from our Word version of the survey. And I'm going to create a list down here. And to create a list, you click on lookup, you change it to combo box, you change this to value list, and then right here, I'm going to paste in those words that I copied from the Word document. I'm going to put quotes around the word senior. I'm going to backspace until I get to junior. I'm going to do a quote and a semicolon. Quote is necessary because it's a string of characters. And you have to split the string of characters by a semicolon. Quote, freshman, quote, semicolon, quote, sophomore, unquote, semicolon, quote, junior, quote, semicolon, quote, senior. And I'm done. I can go to the next field. The next field is major school. And again, it's short text. And I'm going to go over here and I'm going to just copy this in. We're going to create a drop-down menu by clicking on combo box, value list, and then put quotes around these words that we copied in from. It's easier if we maximize the screen view. Business, quote unquote, education, quote unquote, nursing, quote unquote, arts and sciences, and then quote unquote, undeclared. And we go to the next one. So the next one has a person attended a past May-term trip? So we're going to write the field name as past May-term trip. And this is going to be a yes, no. Because we're checking it. We're circling yes, no in the form. And then are they currently registered for a May-term trip? Again, yes, no. And the next thing is rate your interest in the May-term. Student rates their interest in an upcoming May-term trip. And we're going to make this a number, a long number here. And it'll be a long integer. We're going to make it a list. But instead of using quotes, we're going to just type in 1, semicolon 2, semicolon 3, semicolon 4, semicolon 5. We don't want strings of characters. We want numbers. So these are numbers. If we put them in quote, then Access might treat them as a string of characters. And the next one is, remember, we've already imported this in right there. We've imported this already in right there. So the next thing is highest cost. that students are willing to pay. So I'm going to type highest cost, and this is going to be a number. And down here in the lookup, we want to make it easy for the person entering this data into Access. So we're going to create a drop-down menu by choosing combo box, changing that to value list. And then over here, I'm going to copy the numbers from the form into row source. And I'm going to go ahead and maximize it so it's easy to see. We don't need to put quotes around it, but we do need to put in semicolons to separate the objects in Access. Each one of these is an object in a list. And we separate the objects with semicolons. And the final thing is on our form, the important component. And this is an open-ended question. And I just copied in the phrase from the paper to make it easier on me. And we're going to make that a long text. So we have all of our tables for the form that we're going to build. But let me go ahead and close this out. Close this out. We need to be able to link these tables together. Areas has a primary key area ID number. The country table has a primary key of country ID. The experience table has a primary key of experience ID. And the survey table has a primary key survey number. So what we need to do is we need to build link tables that link this to areas. And the link tables have two primary keys. So these tables know how they relate. So we go to create table, and our first table, we're going to open it up in design view. We're going to change it to link area. We'll call it link areas, and we'll go okay. And then remember, the survey table's primary key was survey number, and we don't want it to generate an auto number. We're just going to let it be assigned whatever the survey auto number generated. So we're just going to change that to number. Now, area's primary key was area number ID. It doesn't really matter if we call it ID, or we can call it ID if we want. And it's a number. And then we're going to make both of them primary keys. So I just click on that, then I hold down the control button, and I can click on both of them, and I can make them primary keys. Then I can close this out, and I can do the next link table. The next link table, we're going to edit it in design view. We're going to save it as link countries. And again, the first one's going to be the survey number for the survey table. And we don't want it to be auto number. We want it to just be number. And because we're linking survey table to countries, we need country ID. And we could use country ID or country number. It doesn't matter. And we want that to be a number. And then we're going to click that, and then hold down the control button and click that, and then hit primary key. And close that out. And then our third link table, I'm going to edit in design view, save it as link experience. And I'm going to shorthand it to link EXP. And again, survey number, just a number, because the auto numbers are generated in the survey table. And we're linking it to the experience table, so we need experience ID or number, whatever you want to call it. I forget what we called it. And then again, number. And then I'm going to click on that, and by hold down the control button, I can click on both of them and then do primary key. I got all my tables made. So then we can go ahead and yes. Now I need to create the relationships. I need to link areas to survey via link areas. I need to link countries to survey via link countries. I need to connect experience via link experience to survey. So now I need to click on database tools, relationships. And I'm going to go ahead and just close that and just drag things around. And I don't really need this anymore. I'm going to go ahead and maximize this up. And I'm going to pull out survey. This is my primary table that I'm going to link everything to. So I'm going to put that right in the middle here. And I'm going to put experiences, experience table here. I'm going to put the countries table over here. I'm going to put the areas table over here. So the small ones were imported from Excel, and I want to link them to the survey. So I have 4 databases. I need to create the relationships. So this is why it's called a relational database. So I'm going to copy link areas to here. I'm going to copy link countries or drag it to here. And I'm going to drag link experiences to here. Next, I want to drag experience ID to experience ID. Now I'm going to have a problem here because I need to make sure my data types are exactly alike. Click on forest referential integrity, cascade updated related fields, and then hit create. Again, I anticipated that, so we're going to hit OK. And we're going to close out of that and close out of this. And then I'm having trouble between experience and link experience. I'm going to go ahead and open up design view on experience, open up design view on link experience. And notice that link experience data type is number, long integer, auto. I can get rid of the default value 0. Long integer, auto, 0. But for the experience table, I have number and I have double here. So what I want to do is I want to change that to long integer, get rid of general number, auto is fine. And now, with regard to experience ID and link experience, they're identical. So long integer, long integer. So I can go ahead and close those 2 out. So I've matched their data type. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing for areas and link areas. So area here is a long integer. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the 0 default value. Same thing for survey. So area ID is a long integer, auto decimal places. Areas ID here is, should be a number, long integer, auto, and I'm going to get rid of the 0 here. And then because I've matched the data types for area ID with area ID, I can close both these out and save them. Then I'm going to do finally for experience, I'll do the same thing. Link experience. So for experience ID, I have long integer auto in the link experience table. In the experience table, I have experience ID, long integer, auto, auto. So experience ID, whoops. You gotta be kind of careful with pointing and clicking. I have number, long integer, get rid of the default value of 0. Link experience, I got number, long integer, auto. So I can close those out because I've matched the data types there. Now I go back to database tools, relationships, and I can draw or I can drag experience ID from the experience table to the link experience table. I click on enforce referential integrity, cascade update related fields, and then hit create. Now it's working, right? And then I can do the same thing for area ID and area ID. And I do the same thing for country ID and country number. Notice that I don't have to name them the same thing. Okay, it looks like I have to double check to make sure that these data types match. Let me go ahead and finish this off. We'll get all the ones that match and we'll fix the one that's not matching. Whoops. And so we have trouble with country ID and country number. And it's not because they're spelled differently. Data type's not matching. So let's go ahead and cancel that out. We'll close this. And it was countries and link countries. So for link countries, country number, long integer, and then countries, we got number and double, so we need to fix that. Long integer. So now we got long integer for country ID, and we got long integer for country number in link countries. I'm gonna go ahead and delete this too, just to make sure they match. So link countries, long integer, auto for country number. In countries, long integer and auto for country ID. So we can close those out. Maybe I didn't save it last time. Now we'll go back to the relationships. They're all there. I can drag country ID to country number. Click on both those and create. So now we have the relationships all defined. I have 4 databases, and they're linked or related to these 3 databases. The outer ones are all related to the survey table, the main table, via these link tables. I can close that. And now I can create my form. So we're going to go to click create, and we're going to do form wizard. Survey, and then pick all the fields in the main survey table. We don't need to worry about the these tables because we're going to bring them in as subforms on the main form. And we hit next. That's fine. Survey. I'm going to go ahead and modify the forms design and then finish. And this is where I'm going to bring the Word document back in. Bring the Word document back in here. And what we're going to do is we're going to match this survey form to our Word document form. So we have survey number up here. We have year in college. This right here is, remember, this is an auto number generated automatically by Access. Year in college is a drop-down menu. Major in school is a drop-down menu. This is a yes, no check mark. Interest in May term is a drop-down menu. Highest cost is a drop-down menu. Important component is an open textbook or open text box. So I'm going to go ahead and edit each one of these. I'll go to layout view. And it's kind of easy to edit here. We'll call that year in college. major school. I'll put a space between past and May, and between May and term. Same thing or similar thing for that. Here too. Cost and important component. Now notice over here is we have this areas of interest here and countries of table here between the interest in May term and the highest cost. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this stuff down. Whoop, maybe I need to maximize it. I'll go back to design view. I'll make the form taller. And I'll pull this down here. And I'll put this down here. So it looks pretty good. And then the highest cost, open up the Word document. Highest cost is between rate your interest and important components. So I'm going to put highest cost here, about halfway in between. There we go. Now I need to put a subform in here and a subform in here. This subform is going to be the areas, desired areas. So I'm going to go to design. I'm going to look for subform. Right here, subform. Click right here. And then use existing tables and queries, because I'm going to pull in the areas table. And next, I'm going to pick link areas. And link areas, I'm going to bring both over. I'll hit next. And then just next. I'm going to call this subform areas of interest. And I'm going to maybe pull it down a little bit. Maybe squeeze this in a little bit, like right there. Pull this down here a little bit. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now I need the, on my form here, now I need the countries of interest. I'm going to go ahead and copy this because it'll help me minimize how much typing I have to do. Go back to design, click on subform, and I'll just click in here somewhere. Use existing tables. Now I want to do link countries, add both of them over here, and then do next, next, and this is where I'm going to paste in countries of interest, and then finish. Again, I'm going to pull this down just a little bit, kind of line this up here. Pull it down just a little bit more. Drag this down. And these are going to be drop-down menus. That looks pretty good. Now I need to bring in the final subform. The final subform is experience desired. So I'm going to copy, again, that for my subform title. Back to design. Subform, click in here somewhere, use existing tables and queries, click on link experiences, add both of them over, next, rename it from the Word document, experience desired, hit finish. Now I'm going to make this one pretty wide because we have a memo that has to go along in that is in this thing too. So I'm going to pull it down just a little bit. Pull that up just a little bit. And we can actually see what it looks like better in form view. This is what it looks like in form view. We have a drop-down menu here, drop-down menu for major school, drop-down menu for major interest, drop-down menu for highest cost works. But the drop-down menu for area doesn't work. So we need to fix that. We have an issue here, right? So we're going to go ahead and close this out. We're going to go back to link areas. Remember when we made the drop-down menu for survey for, like, for example, year in college, we had combo box, value list, and then we listed some stuff separated by semicolons. Well, we can't do that for the tables area that is linked to survey via link areas. But we're going to pick a combo box, and it's a little tricky, so you got to really pay close attention when we do this. So we're going to open up the design view of link areas. I'm going to click on number here. Now, area ID is a number. Instead of showing the area ID number, we don't want to show like a 1. We want to show domestic. We don't want to show 2. We want to show, like, say, Europe, for example. So the data type is number. So the thing that's going to be shown first is the area number, and then the area name. And then we're going to hide the area ID number. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on number. Whoops. Click on number, and we're going to go to lookup. And we're going to change this to combo box. We're going to leave it as table query. And then we're going to actually do a query. And we're going to click on areas because we're doing link areas. And we're going to click on, oh, let me close this out here. We'll double click on area ID because remember, it's a data type of numbers. And then we're going to do area. And then we're going to do areas ID. And we're going to use this as the sorting mechanism. So we're going to, it's a 2-column drop-down menu, and we're going to hide the first column. I can go ahead and close this out. Hit yes. And column count 2. And then column width, we'll say, 0.25 inches, colon, I don't know, 2 inches. And we'll go ahead and close this out. We'll hit X here. Save, yes. And now I'm going to go ahead and click on it. And now I have the survey number. And if I click right here, whoops, sorry, I'm in the wrong one. Link areas. And now I have 1 and then domestic. That actually kind of looks cool, right? And we're going to do the same thing with countries. We're going to do the same thing with link countries. So we're going to go design view, click on number here, go to lookup, change this to a combo box. We're going to leave it as table query. Then we're going to conduct a query. And we're doing countries now. So we're going to double click on countries. Close that out. And we'll do country ID because remember, it's a number. The type of data is number. So the first one's got to be a number. Then we'll click on country. And we'll click on country again. And we're going to alphabetize the list. And we can close this out. Yes. And, and then we need 2 column counts. And again, we'll do, what was it, 0.25 inches. And maybe I'll do 2.5 inches, 3 inches. Because country can be kind of a long string of characters. So this is for the first column, which it has to be a number. And the second column, which is a number of, or a column of characters, strings of characters, known as country names. Close it out. Yes. Then I'll double click on it to view it. And again, we have the first column is the number, and the second column is the string of characters known as the country name. And then we'll do the same thing with link experience. We'll edit it, link experience. We'll do the lookup, combo box, table query, Click on that. Now we're doing experience. We're going to do experience ID. Whoops, close that out. Experience ID first, then type of experience, and then experience ID ascending. I'll close this out. And then I'll save it. And I'll double click it to make sure it's working right. Something's, oh, I forgot to add a second column. So let's go back. And that's why you want to double check to make sure it works right. So we're going to go back to design view, number, lookup. I forgot to add a second column here, remember? So now we're going to do column width of 0.25 inches and then 3.5 inches because it's pretty long here for type of experience. And then we'll close out, save, double click to make sure it worked. And it looks like it's working. It's still not wide enough, but we can make it wider. We can actually make it wider right here. Still not wide enough. Still not wide enough. That's pretty wide. We can shrink it up a little bit. Okay, so we have we need the numbers first because this is a data type number. Experience ID is a data type number. And then the second thing is the thing that it corresponds to. So one corresponds to an experience related to my major. We'll go ahead and close that out. Hit yes. That looks pretty good. We could actually make this a little thinner. Good. Close that out. Yes, we'll save that. Link countries. We'll click on this. Scroll through all the countries and see if there's anything that's really wide. Looks like that one's pretty wide, 164. Still not wide enough, so let's pull it apart. Looks good now. Now, I'm not worried about the first column of numbers because we're going to hide that by making that width 0 when we update the subform. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out, save it. I'm going to go to areas, click on that. Notice it doesn't work, so we're going to have to edit it. Design view. I'm going to go up here to design, add existing field. I'm just going to double click on this, see if it works. Notice this little arrow here, so this is probably going to work well. I click on form view, and there you go. I want to get rid of this column of ones though, right? How do I do that? We'll go over here, we'll edit. We'll go to property sheet. Let's try making that first column 0 inches. How about that? And then we'll go to, let's see, click on this. Now that first column is gone. We've got to make it wider. So let's go back to design view. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the one that didn't work. That's in the background. Pull this over here like this. Widen this out a little bit. Widen this up. It doesn't really matter what this actually looks like because it's going to be modified in the subform. Go to this view here, and it looks like it fits in there really well. So by zeroing that first column, we just get a list of areas of interest. So I'll go ahead and close that out. We'll save it. Countries of interest, we do the same thing. Change the design view. I'm going to widen this out a little bit. Bring this down. We know that one doesn't work, so we're going to go ahead and delete it. We'll go up here to design and add existing field. We'll double click on country number. I'll fit this in here. Make it wide. Maybe we need to make it really wide. And we have a pretty good idea this is going to work. Now, it's a country, so we don't need it too wide. Because there's a little arrow here. And then I'll move this over here. Again, it's not going to matter much, but I'm kind of obsessive compulsive. So let's go ahead and go to form view. Click on this. Again, we have this first column here, right? We don't need the first column. And so we're gonna zero out the width of this first column. So we'll go back to design view. We'll change it to property sheet. And I'll click on country number right here. We'll make the first column 0. Go back to form view. And that looks pretty good. The one that was really wide, we need to make it wider. So now we'll go to data sheet view. And we'll make it wider here. I don't think that matters. Let's go to, we'll go right here. Make it wider here. And then we'll go back to this view here, and it should be wide enough. We'll go to form view. Whoops, got too many views. Now we're fitting it in there, right? Now we're fitting in there. So now we can close it out. Yes. Experience desired. We open this one up. Design view. Again, we're pretty convinced that this is not working. The experience ID number is not working. So we're going to go ahead and delete that. Go to add existing field. Click on type. Oop, not that. Click on experience ID. Because experience ID has the combo box in it. That's why we want to use it. And then we're going to pull this wide, really wide. We're going to go to form view. Okay, I think I'm in the wrong, I think I picked the wrong form here. We modified link experience, right? So we clicked on the wrong one. We need to click on this one down here. So when you double click on this one, now we see that little arrow there, right? That down arrow indicating that this is a drop-down menu. And then I'm going to make this nice and wide and go to form view. And there, so we can delete the first column. We can't delete the first column. We can zero the width. So we're going to go now to property sheet. And we're going to zero the width there to get rid of the number. We have two columns, but the first one's not going to be visible because we made the first column 0. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit form view. And now it looks really good. Now everything fits in there. We close out. Yes. Save it. Now our survey form is complete. Should be complete for the most part. Let's just double check. Area ID. We got that. Menu's working. Let me fix this here. This is maybe a little too wide. I don't think we need it that wide. And then down here, we got a bit of a problem here because remember, we want our memo to be on this side. So we got to go back and fix that. But this menu does work. That's really cool. That works. But we got to change the order. Up here, we have the country working. And that one fits. The longest one fits. So that's cool. Area ID, they all fit. I'm going to go ahead and widen this out to here. Okay, the only thing we got left to do is to switch the order of memo and experience ID, and that's really easy fix. We'll go ahead and close this out and save yes to all. Go back to experience desired, design view. All we have to do to make memo a second is delete it and then re-enter it. just re-enter it. So that's all we have to do to, and we can put it anywhere. So in this design view, we can put it anywhere. Close out, hit yes. Click on survey, and I think we're pretty much done. So memo is second on the list. Everything fits. We can type in a memo. We can type in a memo here, and we're all done. Now we can enter records into our database. So we have an example database in our hand. We have an example survey that was filled out. We have a pile of them. Maybe the first person on the list is a freshman, or the fifth person on the list is a freshman. They're a business major. They didn't have a past midterm because they weren't in school the year before. They were in high school. They're currently registered for the May term. Maybe they have an interest of forward going to a foreign country. They're interested in going to Europe. They're interested in going to Asia. And notice right here, if I put in Europe again, it won't let me do it because remember we selected index, yes, no duplicates. Remember that? I mentioned we'd come back to it. Same thing with country. Maybe they want to go to Afghanistan. That's, I guess, in Asia. And then Albania is in Europe. And then if you make a mistake and hit Albania again, it won't let you do it because, again, we picked yes, no duplicates when we were building the link country table. So we had to choose something else. Let's see. Country in Africa. Let's go to Nigeria. Kim Olajuwon is from Nigeria, my favorite basketball player of all time. Nigeria, there we go. And then we scroll down, and the highest cost maybe they're willing to pay is $3,000. And maybe that person wants to go to a May term trip because the experience she's looking for, he's looking for, is one related to her major or his major. And then we can click on the next record, and we can just keep filling in the records for all the surveys that we had filled out.